Hola, Carissa here. Thank you for watching my channel. I am going to share with you today 5 simple steps on how I created my rental car business, and hopefully you can do the same. So if you're interested, stay tuned because I'm going to be spilling the tea. Okay, so the first of the 5 simple steps that I use when I thought about creating this rental car business was planning. You must plan. Before you start any new endeavor, before you create a business or anything that you're just launching for the first time, you want to carefully plan it. And so in my planning phase, there were 5 components that I incorporated in that. I had to factor in how much is it going to cost me? Okay. How much time will it require? When do I want to launch the business? How will I finance it? And which vehicles am I going to use? Because I knew that I wanted a fleet of vehicles for this business. Okay, so factor in the cost because you want to know how much is it going to cost you. So are you going to use your personal vehicle, or are you going to finance, meaning are you going to purchase or lease a vehicle? That goes into the cost of this business, right? And you have to look at how much time is going to be required. Will you have the manpower? Will you have the labor to clean the vehicles? Because in between renters, you have to clean it. You have to make sure that if the last renter didn't put gas in or didn't fuel it, that it has to be gassed up. You have to make sure the cars are cleaned. So sometimes renters may not do those things, although they're supposed to. And certainly you can charge them. And we can get into that in another video. But you have to factor in, okay, is this something that I'm doing on my own? Will I have a help? Is there a team? Ideally, if you're just starting out with one vehicle, you may be able to just go ahead and do it on your own, but it's always ideal if you have help. But if you don't have help, don't stress yourself out about it, because I didn't have help and I did it. I didn't know how I was going to get it done, but I did it because I knew what I wanted to do. I planned it, and guess what? I'm here today because it works. All right, so don't worry about if you don't have a team for now. Just build, just plan, build, then plan. Make changes to the plan as necessary. Okay, so when do you want to launch the business? For me, it was a thought. I thought about it. I was in church, and I was at my home church, and there was a preacher who prophesied over me, meaning that he spoke some things into my life. He says, well, Carissa, you're going to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And I received the word from the man of God, and I quickly implemented. I didn't waste any time. I knew that I had to go now. All right. So if you're thinking about doing it, put a date stamp on it, right? So make your plan. You're planning your goals. Put a date on your goals. Be very specific. So if you say, I want to launch my business within the next 30 days, within the next 45 or 60 days, put a date on it and work towards that date. And things that you may have to do, check it off in your checklist until you actually complete everything that's required for you to fully implement the plan. All right, which vehicles are you going to use? That is going to be so important, because with creating a rental car business, there are different ride share apps, which I'm going to talk about shortly, but they will allow you to use your own personal vehicles. So for instance, maybe you have multiple vehicles, right? Or maybe you just want to use your own because you're not driving. I know that a lot of people have resorted to working at home because of the pandemic, right? And so maybe you have a vehicle that's not too old, that's in pretty good condition, that you can rent out. Listen, consider that. But if not, certainly you can factor in the possibility of purchasing a vehicle or leasing it. For me, I already had 2 vehicles, okay? But I knew that I wanted to purchase another one because for my rental car business, I want a fleet of vehicles. So I purchased a vehicle for my first test run. Okay, then you want to look at, if you're purchasing, how are you going to finance the business? And I had to think about that. Okay, well, Carissa, are you doing it in your personal name, or are you creating a business. And so that's what you want to finalize, because certainly you can do both. And then I'll break it down a little bit more as we talk about the business setup versus the personal. So those are the 5 things that will help you significantly when it comes to planning. How much will it cost you? How much time is required? When do you want to launch? What vehicles will you use, and how will you finance it? All of that is part of the planning phase. The second part is the cost of the business. All right. So you must factor in the cost, because you don't want to launch a business if you don't know how much it's going to cost you. I believe in taking risk, but sometimes I also believe in using wisdom to take calculated risk. All right. So with the vehicles, as I've pre-stated, either you can use your personal vehicle or you can purchase or lease a vehicle. So you have to factor in the cost. Does it make sense to create a business if you're going to put out a lot of money? Because you want to get a return on your investment. So you have to look at the vehicle. All right, so the first vehicle that I purchased for my fleet was a 2018 Ford Fusion Titanium EcoBoost. Fully loaded. It was pretty reasonable on miles. It didn't even have 45,000 miles on it, and I got a really great price on it. So I had to do some research in terms of how much money I would make on the vehicle after I paid the note, after I paid the insurance. What will I profit off of this business? Okay, so you have to factor in the cost. Also, you have to look at the insurance. If you're going with a personal business, a personal plan where you don't have a business set up, then you have to maintain personal insurance in the vehicle, right? But through the rideshare apps and through the rideshare programs, they do offer insurance in some cases, and it really just depends on which company you're using. And so I'm going to share a couple that I started out with. Okay, so insurance, whether it's your personal insurance or business insurance, meaning you have commercial insurance, you want to call and ask questions. Call the insurance company and say, hey, I have this type of car, or I'm thinking of purchasing this type of car. You give them the VIN number and they will tell you upfront how much the insurance is going to be. This will allow you to determine whether or not this is something that you want to do, if this is something that you can afford to do, depending on how you set this business up. All right, and then another important thing as it pertains to cost is a GPS tracking device. You definitely want to have a tracking device on the vehicle so that you know where the vehicle is at all times. Okay, let's just say, worst case scenario, there's a renter who does not return the vehicle on time. They don't make payments. You want to be able to track the vehicle. And if there's a way for you to shut the vehicle down, then you definitely want to have that device on the car. There's a cost associated with that. Look at if there's a monthly cost, right? And so all of that is part of the cost. And then also, you definitely want to have multiple keys for the vehicle. You don't want to just have one vehicle, something happens, and the renter doesn't return it right away, and now you don't have a key. So you want to make sure that you have multiple keys for the vehicle. So when I purchased my vehicle, it came with 2 keys. If something happens, God forbid something happens, I have a spare key, have a backup. Okay, so now I'm going to share the ride share platforms that you can use. There is a company called Turo, Turo. And so that's what I started out with. I started out using Turo. You can also use HireCar as well as Avail. Now, Avail is a ride share app that airports use, just depending on your jurisdiction. So just do some research. Maybe Google or look up rideshare programs that may be available in your area. Sorry about that. But because in some jurisdictions, Turo or HireCar may not be available. So do some research to see if it's a possibility that you could do it in your area. Okay, and hopefully you can. All right. And then the fourth is the business setup. Are you going to set it up in a business name, or are you going to create this entity, this endeavor under your personal name? Okay, so for my first vehicle, I didn't go through a business setup because I was still working on finalizing some things for the business. But now I do have that business in place. But when I first started, I put the vehicle in my name because I wanted to give it a trial run. I wanted to give it a test run to see how well it goes before I spend all this money creating a business just for this and it flops, right? So I'm the type of person, I don't just jump head in. I want to do research. I want to see if it's going to work. So I put the first vehicle in my name and it has worked. My vehicle has been booked ever since I put it on the street. It's been booked every day. So it actually works. And like I said, I use Turo. All right, so with the business setup, there are some things that you must have in place because with a business, you have to be legit. You want to register the vehicle with your state or city, okay? That means you should also have a tax ID identification number from the IRS. So that's the first thing that you want to do. You want to start with the IRS, get your EIN number. It's absolutely free. You go to the irs.gov website and you put in the information, or you just do a search for EIN number and you apply for it. You think about your business name, a business address, and you're going to give the IRS all that information, and they will give you, depending on your ability or your status, they'll give you a tax identification number. Okay, so after you get your tax identification number, you want to register the vehicle with your state, okay? You want to set it up, and there are some steps involved, just depending on where you live or where you're setting your business up, that will determine how much it's going to cost you. All right. Now, if you are looking to get funding from a bank, you want to have a legit business setup. So that means a professional address, a website, a telephone number. A bank will look at all this information. You need a DNB number, okay? All of those things are going to be important because the bank may ask you for this information, and so you want to have it in place. And so there's a checklist of things involved, and I will share that a little later. All right, so that's for the business setup. Now, you don't have to set it up in a business, but it would be in your best interest to do that. Like I said, my first vehicle, I did it in my personal name, but the next 4 vehicles are going to be under my business setup because now I do have all of those things in place. All right, and so once you plan it, you consider the cost, you consider the rideshare app, and you make the determination whether it's going to be, like I said, personal or business. Now all you have to do is implement and launch your business, and it's really just that simple. It's 5 steps broken down for you. You have to plan it, you have to know the cost, consider which programs, which rideshare app or program you're going to use, whether you're going to put it in your personal, your business, and then you just go, just get out there and go. Don't overthink it, because for me, I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I've never done this before. I can do property management. I've been in property management all my life, right? I've never done a ride share program. I've never done rental car business, so it was new for me and I was a little afraid at first, but I did it, and it has been absolutely an absolute blessing to me. It has absolutely been a blessing to me and for me. And so this is what I did. 5 steps to create my rental car business. I hope that this helps you. If you have any questions, please feel free to inbox me, all right? It is now time for you to think about how awesome you are, because you have to think it first. You have to believe it. I am awesome. I can do it. I do have the confidence. I'm going to do it no matter if I have to do it alone, even if I have to do it afraid, even if I don't know anything about it, I am going to do it. And that's what I had to tell myself. I did it, and I'm so glad I did. And I hope that you'll share with me after you set up your business how it's working for you. And I hope this video has helped. I'm Carissa Spann. I am the landlord and tenant coach entrepreneur. And any information that I have, I will share with you. So please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like my page on Facebook if you're connected with me on Facebook. And again, I look forward to hearing how great and how awesome you are with your endeavor and your rental car business. Let me know how it's working for you. And again, if you have questions, if you have comments, go ahead and inbox me or drop it in the comments section below. So until next time, stay cool and stay blessed.